Imagine waking up one morning to find evidence that your ancestors reached an entirely new continent. 500 years before Columbus, not just a rumor, not just a legend, but real traces of a forgotten settlement carved into the edges of a wild, unknown land. A place the Vikings called Vinland, and a place that, even today, refuses to reveal all its secrets. For centuries, Vinland hovered between myth and reality. The sagas spoke of it as a land overflowing with grapes, forests, an untouched abundance, an almost paradise-like world far west of Greenland. But the sagas were part history, part poetry, and no one knew how much to trust them. Were the Vikings really daring enough to cross the icy Atlantic into a new world, or was Vinland a story meant to inspire future voyages that never came? According to the Old Norse tales, around the year 1000, the explorer Leif Erikson set sail on a risky expedition and stumbled upon a coastline unlike anything he had ever seen. Warm winds, fertile soil, massive rivers, and strange animals greeted him. His crew built temporary shelters, explored the forests, and returned home with stories of a land so rich that butter dripped from the very blades of grass. But the sagas also hint at tension, dangerous encounters, and a mysterious retreat. Something drove the Vikings away, something they never fully explained. For centuries, historians debated the truth. Was Vinland just Newfoundland? Was it somewhere as far south as New Brunswick, or even Massachusetts? And if the Vikings really settled there, why did the entire settlement fade into silence? That all changed in the 1960s when archaeologists discovered a site at El Anse aux Meadows in Newfoundland. Inside the soil, they found unmistakable signs of Norse craftsmanship: iron nails made in Viking style, remnants of turf buildings identical to those in Iceland, and a spindle whorl proving that women, not just warriors, were part of the voyage. The discovery shocked the world. The Viking sagas weren't just stories, they were memories. Real memories of real voyages. Yet the deeper researchers dug, the stranger things became. The settlement was small, far too small for the prosperous Vinland described in the sagas. It looked more like a base camp, a stepping stone, not the heart of a thriving colony. And then there was something even more mysterious: the wood. Some wooden fragments showed tree rings from species that don't exist in Newfoundland. They belonged to trees found much further south, suggesting the Vikings traveled deeper into North America than any confirmed evidence shows. But where, and why is there no trace? One eerie clue comes from butternuts, fruits that cannot grow in Newfoundland as cold climate found at the site. Someone had brought them hundreds of miles north, which means Viking explorers must have journeyed into warmer, richer regions of North America, regions they never described in detail, or perhaps intentionally kept secret. Another puzzle lies in the sagas themselves. They mention encounters with the Skrylings, a mysterious local people described in ways that perfectly match any known indigenous group in the far north. Some scholars think these descriptions match cultures living much farther south, near the Gulf of St. Lawrence. If true, Vinland wasn't a single place, it was an entire coastline the Vikings mapped long before Europeans realized it even existed. And then there's the biggest mystery of all. Why did they leave? They had better farmland, richer forests, and a warmer climate than Greenland or Iceland. Yet their settlement lasted only a few years. The sagas hint at conflict, but the archaeological site shows no signs of war, no burnt buildings, no scattered weapons. Instead, the Vikings seem to have left deliberately and calmly, as if abandoning a plan that had suddenly become impossible. Some theories suggest climate shifts made the journey too dangerous. Others believe the Vikings realized they were too few to survive among the powerful indigenous nations of North America. A more haunting idea is that Vinland was simply too far from home, too wild, too unknown, too costly to claim. But perhaps the strangest theory is that there were multiple Vinlands scattered along the coast, each briefly visited, explored, and then left behind. If that's true, the remains we've found so far are just one ghost out of many. And here's the part that keeps archaeologists awake at night. We may have only uncovered the northernmost point of Viking exploration. The real heart of Vinland, the vineyards, the warm lands, the hidden settlements might still be out there, buried under forests, sand, or centuries of silence. So the question lingers like a cold mist over the Atlantic. How much of North America did the Vikings truly reach? And what remains undiscovered beneath our feet? Until we find the answers, Vinland remains what it has always been: half history, half legend, and entirely unforgettable.